Good afternoon, everyone. It's Allie, Coram, and Ed Carson here with a look at the market for Tuesday, June 27th, where we saw a strong, broad-based rebound in the market after this short-term pullback, Ed. But the question for traders now is the pullback over?
Yeah, that's a good question. And honestly, we're just going to have to find out. There are a lot of stocks that were showing positive action along with the broader indexes. United Airlines, FedEx, and Datadog are three stocks to look at.
Okay, we'll take a look at those, but first let's analyze the major indexes. Starting with the NASDAQ, up 1.7% by sessions close. Also, the Russell 2000 with a gain of about 1.7% today. The S&P 500 up 1.2%, and the Dow up 0.6%. So yesterday, when we were talking, Ed, we saw the NASDAQ leading the declines, and it came almost to its 21-day, but not quite. And now what do we get today? A strong bounce. But does this qualify as enough evidence for a reversal of this short-term trend?
It's evidence of a rebound of an end. It's just the question is can you prove it? And the thing is, you won't know until, like, if we had another day like this, then you might think, okay, now for real, but then we'd be getting close to being extended and a lot of stocks would already be out there. So that makes it tricky situation. I mean, there were buying opportunities, but you have to be thinking how much you want to go. We're right up toward a trend line. Maybe we want to break that. We're right up around the 10-day line. You could say, well, I'd like a little more strength. It's just there's risk in jumping in. There's risk in waiting. So you have to balance those. I will note that the NASDAQ had what appears to be a staged a subsequent follow-through day. It was a strong gain in above average volume, but if we were waiting for a follow-through day, this would have been it. We're not, because this is a market rally, but it's always good to see those powerful days suggesting big institutions are coming in to support the market.
So pretty bullish looking there. We can also take a look at the S&P 500 here. Also didn't quite come down to its 21-day line, but it looks like it broke a downtrend today and closed right around its 10-day moving average.
Yeah, so this showed pretty positive action as well, and there was really strong breadth. It was for the market. It was positive action. Also, it came down not just toward the 21-day line, but just above to where the August highs were from last year. So it's just a lot of support area. That's a natural area for it to come. It doesn't mean sometimes natural support areas don't stop a stock or an index from coming down, but this was a natural area to find support.
Yes, absolutely. Next on our list, look at the Dow. So blue chips bouncing too, but lagging here, Ed. I know you've often talked about a diversity of leadership. Does it look like we could see blue chip stocks accompany those high octane growth stocks as leaders? It does seem like we are seeing select names in the industrial sector picking up.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to be, and often the NASDAQ leads a rally. It'd be just as long as the Dow is lagging, not losing. And there's some areas that are doing well, some that are not.
Well said there. And small caps also with a big gain today. And we were saying on Monday how this one was kind of looking like it was on the ropes. If it had one more down day, it could be undercutting its 200-day line and this area that it broke out of in early June, but bounce today puts the Russell back above the 21-day.
Yeah, so it'd be good to see this and the Dow back above the 21-day line. They're not leading, but really nice to see this bounce.
And to demonstrate the market breadth that we saw today, QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ 100, up 1.7% today, while QQEW, the equal weighted version, up 1.6%. So maybe this doesn't quite demonstrate that broad leadership, but it's not like we saw a huge divergence in the performances here today.
Yeah, and yesterday the QQEW greatly outperformed QQQ. So for the week, I'm assuming that the equal weight is better than Q's just a little bit.
Take a look. So yeah, QQEW on pace so far. It's only been 2 days, but a gain of 1.4%. So basically 1% above what we're seeing for QQQ so far this week. So well said, putting it into that weekly perspective. And we want to take a look at RSP. How is that looking so far for the week? Up 1.8% here, Ed.
Yeah, strong for the week and another solid day today. After it rose yesterday, and it was a pretty nice, decent gain when the S&P was down. So this already retook the 21-day line. So strictly in the short run, the very, very, very short run in the pullback, this looks stronger than just about anything in the sense. So that's really good to see this kind of gain, because this has been lagging for so long.
Yes. And now let's take a look at jets. We're seeing participation from a growing number of areas, including airline stocks, one of which we will be taking a look at. And I know we also checked in on during Monday's show. So jets up 4.5% today in some volume. So a pretty decisive looking breakout here today.
Yeah, there were a bunch of airlines that broke out, including one we'll look at it today. And this is another alternative. If you don't want to say, I want to pick, this is,
Right.
because this is looks a lot like them.
Exactly. Yeah. If you just want to take advantage of that group move, don't want to pick the leader, ETFs, thematic ETFs can be an option for that. XHB, home builder stocks, also noticed this today myself too, Ed, with a nice move. Here's XHB, which tracks the group, up 2.9% in volume today.
Home builders are doing well. Building materials had a strong day. You saw housing retailers strong day. It was really across the board throughout housing today.
And we mentioned industrial, so let's take a look at there, up 1.2% today. So again, this the Nasdaq on the index level was the leader today. Small caps also performed really well, but if you take a look underneath the hood, looking at these various groups, these non-tech areas are flourishing. One might argue, but how long will it last is the question.
Yeah, that's always a good question, but definitely some of these other areas give you more confidence that maybe that there's something, that we are starting a new leg.
Yes, I know that's something that we've been concerned about, or just an asterisk, or maybe a yellow flag in this recent market rally, is how narrow at one point things were. Then we saw a broadening of that, faltering a little bit in this pullback. Now things seem to be picking themselves back up. So we'll see if it can continue. But we talked about airlines. So let's go to UAL after what could be called a potential setup day. In yesterday's session, a breakout coming today in a big way for United Airlines, up 5% in volume.
Yeah, nice action here. Really big move. This United Airlines and some others broke out today because Delta came out and raised its guidance. We're not talking about Delta because that was sort of already extended. I mean, it sort of paused for a little bit, but it really didn't have a great buy point out here. But UAL buy signal now, mind you, it's getting extended. It's already near the top of its buy zone. So that's one of the reasons I think definitely you want to be paying attention to stocks. And the downside of a broad market advance is that you have to keep track of a lot of stocks. That's not the worst problem to have. But as you can see, this is 18% above the 50-day line. So, and it's getting up there versus the 21-day. So if you wanted to jump on this, maybe the best time was when it's first moving out, or at least, initially today, because that's something to be watching out for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe there's that bar about an hour in, about, 30 minutes in or so, or something,
Right.
as it came out right there, would have been a time to jump in as it's breaking out intraday and daily.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like your thinking there, Ed. Let's take a look at FDX, delivering on a strong move here today, up 5% in volume. That was more than double average.
Yeah, this was really impressive over the past couple of weeks because it sort of snuck past a buy point in mid-June. Then earnings came in, and they weren't good earnings, and it sold off, but then it bounced right back from the 50-day line. And so it's not as extended as some names, though it is, again, like the other ones. There was an opportunity to buy this, earlier on. I think that you do want to be paying close attention, even if you don't always pull the trigger. You want to be ready to make those decisions because they, because of some of these names being somewhat extended.
Mm-hmm. And while we are seeing a lot of red here from a fundamental perspective, if you look ahead to the estimates for 2024 and 2025, it does look like there's expected improvement there. And we can also take a look at the weekly chart for some added perspective. A steady uptrend for this stock since bottoming last September. And now it looks like it's trying to get above to new 1-year highs from its peak last summer. So right up at a potentially critical level.
Yeah, and I just to note that the fiscal year is already 2024, so the earnings are supposed to bounce back pretty quickly now.
Great. And last but not least, Datadog, DDOG. We've got to look at a tech stock. So here's an enterprise software name. We've seen a pretty orderly pullback after a strong move that really was sparked by that early May earnings report. A lot of volume coming into the stock at that time as well. So an orderly pullback now. Volume has quieted down. We see the stock hovering around the 21-day line, and it looks like it could be on the verge of clearing a trend line if it can just get a little bit more strength.
Yeah, a little more strength, hopefully on volume. And there's a lot of stocks are holding up. I mean, we've looked at HubSpot and MongoDB in recent days. Those may be even stronger. So I don't want to say this is the only one to be looking at. But so those are some names. So definitely be looking at that. Datadog, it has this huge cup with handle, but you can also look at this handle as sort of like a shelf above a bottoming base, from 90. And so from that perspective, it does have a prior uptrend, so I think that because we like to have bases that not right off the bottom. So in this regard, it can be off the bottom, but I think you can also look at it as not being so. And have to see if this one goes. There's a number of names out there. The earnings growth is supposed to pick up again a little bit after slowing for quite a while. I mean, it had tremendous growth. Comparisons have come down, though it never stopped. A lot of chip makers, a lot of stocks, their earnings were falling and falling pretty dramatically. This one's never stopped growing. So that's a positive. See if that can pick up again.
All right. Well, we will keep it on our list. Thanks so much, Ed. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all those details. And we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.